have you. New vulnerabilities in Android, for example, allowing data theft through basically by visiting compromised web pages. I think we're going to see malicious applications that looks like a cool free game, but really it's actually stealing your bank account information, looking at history and different kinds of banking apps or what have you. Let's talk about briefly Stuxnet. So Stuxnet is a piece of malware that spreads over the internet, spreads over USB devices, but targets control systems. In this case, targeting control systems made by Siemens. There's also a report of another one that came out yesterday. This is famous because it was initially found at an Iranian nuclear reactor facility, but there's been 18,000 other reports of infections. So this stuff looks to see if a computer is connected to a control network. So my concern on this is that's just the beginning. That's sort of a proof of concept. In fact, this stuff's now for sale on the black market. People are going to be targeting other control systems. They're going after critical infrastructure. We know for a fact they're going after electrical power systems. Who knows what else? So, I'm worried about, for example, evolutions of Stuxnet going after ATM networks, going after ACH systems. In the UK, going after the BACS corporate payment system. We've already seen Diebold ATM malware source code out there. We found sites that are Zeus source code sites, and there is Diebold source code in there with basically malware. We're not sure how they're trying to get it into the ATM network. Potentially it's an insider type of thing, but they're thinking about it, they're working on it.
Yeah, a question about this certification part of the Stuxnet, right? After the first certification was hit and found out that they had no other one up the next day.
Yeah.
Now, what's the clearinghouse of certification? How strong is that?
The clearinghouse for the you're talking about certification of the software?
That's around the world.
Yeah. Well, you're talking about for the software.
Yeah.
The certification authority is Microsoft. So if you get a Microsoft code signing cert, then you can sign software and it'll install.
The two places over in China, and Formosa, that's the room in one building, and they had software that's up to 8,000, 9,000 spot of the IP addresses.
Okay.
And now, if they can use anybody's certification, that's hard coded into the IP list.
Sure.
Right. What's the control of that? That seems to be the architecture of stuff there. And it can be used by any certification group.
Well, we should take this question offline. Yeah, we should take that question offline. Okay. We're seeing more automation of attacks. A lot of these attacks today, there's a live person sitting in Eastern Europe, for example, getting these IMs, jabbers, logging in, creating the sessions, doing transactions. That's going to get automated. In fact, there's a SpyEye program now that I found that does automated credit card transactions. So you set up a merchant, and maybe you have some legitimate transactions, but you also basically use infected computers all around the world to run credit cards into your merchant thing, drive up your numbers, and then I guess, you run away with it, I suppose. I'm not exactly sure how they're trying to get away with this stuff, but it's a proof that there's mass spread automation coming. We're starting to see automation even around transaction authentication, where a person will type in a transaction, the bank will ask them for a one-time password, they'll add it in. They're even modifying that stuff on the fly. And then, of course, more polymorphic attacks, which means we can't detect them, and many more hybrid attacks, like the phone things that we're starting to see a lot more of. Real social engineering, trying to get into companies, trying to get to high net worth individuals. That's it for me.
Or 40 corporations in the world that are big enough to operate their own